Hey, this is Ryan Phillips here, and this is my game tonight against Glenn Bidari. I had the white piece in this game. It's always fun for him to play Glenn. He's kind of like a barometer for me to see where my chess skills are at. Uh, he's a real good player, Glenn, obviously. Um, just a very talented player. Seems to be able to find good ideas in the opening, and he's always able to kind of get his pieces on good squares with good timing, which I mean that's just kind of the tip of his talents at chess, and for those reasons, always makes him a very tough opponent. Um, I think I had a stretch maybe like a little over a year ago. I don't know, maybe even a little longer. I was starting to get what I would consider reasonable results against Glenn. I mean, for the time being, I'd say if I can get like I'd like to be able to score around 40 to 45% against Glenn, which would be outperforming the rating gap between us, which I think is somewhat of a realistic goal. And then, I'd like to keep improving so that, maybe it would be more of a 50-50 split at some point, but that doesn't seem to, that's definitely not the case as of right now, but hopefully in the future. I think Glenn blunders far less frequently than I do, although some of the games I found some resources in the computer that I missed, and I think in the past that was due to me getting a severe time disadvantage. So I think if there's a lot of positives I think that I took out of this game, even though I lost. But I kept it closer on the clock. I didn't feel like I was in any kind of time pressure. I was like 8 or 9 minutes behind on the clock at towards the end of the game. Um, but I didn't feel like there was any. I didn't feel like I was getting any kind of time pressure during the game. I think I still like 19 or 20 minutes, and I actually blundered. I thought I blundered right when I was very very close to it being like a pretty trivial draw. Um, I mean, it's hard to say that against Glenn. He'll always find some kind of resource, but it was getting very close to that point where if I it was very close where it's clearly a draw. I thought, and if I get to that point and then I lose from there, um, well, I just have to work on my technique. But once you get to that position where it's like, this is clearly a draw, you should be able to find the drawing moves relatively quickly. So I had about 19 minutes left, which I think is more than ample time in such a position to complete the draw. But I had the white pieces, so I'll show you kind of where I went astray because I shouldn't, be struggling to fight for a draw as white, of course. So it went e4, g6. So I thought Glenn might be playing the modern against me, which I'd never seen him play before. But he ended up just playing a different move order to get to the Caro-Kann variation that he likes to play, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. It starts with a G. I lied. I'm going to try to pronounce it. I think it's like Gurj. That's a Gurjazani or something weird like that. I can't remember the exact name. Anyway, though, so I went d4, and then he played c6. So I figured, okay, now he wants to transpose to that. So I could play like knight c3 or even knight f3. I figured and get to just a regular Caro-Kann where the g6 pushes. It's not that standard, but I don't think it's. I haven't saw any reasons why it's bad. I don't know if the bishop was more active on g7 versus the commonly played bishop d6 in the Caro-Kann. But if Glenn feels comfortable with the line, that's all that kind of matters. The opening that you pick an opening that fits your style. And I guess I noticed that Glenn, he definitely does like to fianchetto his bishop on the side he plants a castle, so he definitely likes that kind of defensive formation. So he likes it so much he even plays that kind of closest ceiling with that kind of formation. So it seems to be something he's fairly comfortable with. Anyway, I went for c4, so I kind of transposed into kind of a queen pawn game. I thought I was going to prevent d5, but I was mistaken, and this move does not prevent d5. So I think even though my results, I guess, National Open are pretty good, I still feel like I'm missing too much stuff that I shouldn't be missing. Like after c4, I thought d5 was kind of unplayable in the meantime, but that just was not true. So but again, I'm not really sure what kind of opening we're in at this point. After d5, it's not a Grunfeld with e4 already played, so I really don't know. I really have no idea what kind of opening this is considered the Caro-Kann still, but it's definitely like kind of a hybrid between an e4 and a d4 game at this point. So Glenn played d5, And then the computer is initially showing e5, so sometimes the computer changes its valuation after a second or two. But e5 looks like an interesting idea. Um, I considered e5 briefly, but I thought maybe it was too aggressive. So the d4 e5 pawn wedge is always interesting against the when black being kiddos is dark square bishop, because either the d4 e5 wedge is going to be a big nuisance to this bishop, really blocking its mobility, or these pawns are going to kind of get chipped away at, and then this bishop's going to become a monster. So that's kind of it's very double-edged. If you can keep this kind of strong pawn wedge, then maybe this bishop lacks mobility. But at the same time, it can be dangerous to have your pawns on the same color as your opponent's bishop, because if they get able to chip away at this pawn center, then the bishop becomes a very strong piece. So I mean, if the pawn goes to e5 and then the light square bishop goes to like f5 or g4 or something, now it looks like both the dark bishops, black bishops, are in play. So I kind of rejected e5, and I guess I went with a move that the computer doesn't even suggest, but I played knight c3. So maybe this is already too passive. I'm not really addressing the position. But I thought it was just a logical developing move. Bring the bishop out, or bring the knight out, I'm sorry. Guard the e4 pawn, and then have the bishop on f1 guard the c4 pawn still, so I figured that'd be okay. So Glenn took, and then I took back. And yeah, now we're kind of... So I didn't notice this during the game, but I guess my plan already with c4 maybe I don't like anymore, because it looks like we're basically just in the Carl Khan where g6 and c4 were inserted. So we're in kind of a strange position already. For me, I don't know if Glenn was too familiar with this position. So yeah, I'm not really sure already what's going on. So I guess my opening play probably was not so great, but I don't think that's maybe necessarily a true statement, because just because I played an opening that I'm not overly familiar with, I think my ideas were fairly logical. So I can't like say that my opening play was bad. I wasn't familiar with it, which I'm okay with. I'm not adverse to going to unfamiliar lines if I'm objectively analyzing the position and I feel like this is okay, then I have no problem going to that lines and figuring out the problems as they arise during the game. So Glenn played bishop g7, and then I thought for a long time here, my initial impression was I wanted to play knight f3, which the computer suggesting, but I was very worried about this bishop g4 move. And every time I see I didn't even really consider this queen b3 idea. I was just fixated that I'd lose this pawn. Even here, I mean, if he takes, and I don't know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how good this is. So I don't know. I don't think I would have felt very comfortable. I mean, my pawn structure is kind of messed up. I do have the two bishops, so I don't know. Maybe I should have thought about this more. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I think I'm just missing a lot. Like after bishop g4, queen b3 is a natural move, right? Hitting the b7 pawn. So all this kind of stuff I didn't really consider strong enough. But mainly what I was analyzing in the game was this bishop e3. And then I was very concerned about knight h6 coming to f5, and I didn't really see what I could do about this, because it's not an f5 is a good piece. It attacks the bishop on e3 and the pawn on d4, and this is just kind of a pain. So computer's showing I guess I can give this up. But yeah, I didn't feel that comfortable with this, I guess. So basically I was concerned. I was just concerned of playing knight f3. Already I was kind of worried. So I went with knight e2, which computer doesn't like as much. Shows that black is totally equal, if not slightly better now. But my idea, I wanted to play b3, bishop b2, queen c2, and then I could even consider castling queenside, but most likely just rook d1. So I thought this was the safer way to go. So Glenn played bishop g4. So I kind of had like I didn't think this move was so great, but I didn't think it was bad. So it was kind of had me. I had flashbacks of the Scandinavian. I know Glenn was studying that for a while, and this bishop g4 move was very common in that line. So I played f3, and it's funny the computer is suggesting bishop c8 back, because that's kind of the Scandinavian idea. Anyway, I played bishop f5, and then again queen b3 would have been a good move. I just this is kind of like Pats or chess in my opinion. I'm just too worried about the d4 pawn, and I'm not looking for other opportunities. And Queen b3, and then Bishop e3, and I think I just have a better game than I played in the game. So I played b3, which I think it's a fine plan, but it's not the best plan, but it's okay. So Glenn played h5, and then his idea is just to get the knight out to h6 and have this h5, pawn advance, maybe protecting the g4 square. So after like knight h6, maybe we could threaten bishop takes e4, and then placing the knight on g4. And h3 could be a very weakening move for white. So I have to be careful that I don't rely on h3 too much to solve my problems. So bishop b2. And then here I think Glenn kind of got a little too aggressive with h4. I didn't particularly care for the advancing the h-pawn 2 moves in a row, especially because he's not really threatening h3 at any point in the game that I observed. And I don't know. I think I could still play g4 at certain points, which I considered. Anyway, I played queen c2 here. So even though I'm putting the queen and the pin with the bishop, this is fine since it's very hard to attack this knight again. And now I'm guarding the b2 bishop, so I could play d5, and then it's very hard for the bishop to avoid capturing at some point. And then after queen takes b2, I'm hitting the rook and getting out the pin. So this pin is very it's not something I think I have to be too worried about. So we played knight h6, and then here the computer likes g4, which I was considering g4. I just couldn't see the merits, I guess. And plus, it's just like I'm playing maybe like kind of scared or something. But like I'm thinking I have to play under these general principles all the time. But I think I'm a good enough player now where I don't always know, but I think I'm starting to get the feel of when I can break the rules. So a move like g4 here is nice. And the idea also is with the knight on h6, after h takes g3, I can recapture with the h pawn because my rook isn't hanging. So this knight h6 actually blocks the h file. So this is something that I've learned that I didn't observe during the game. So this is it's every move in chess has strengths and drawbacks. So he developed a piece Glenn to h6, but he blocked the h file, which was before knight h6. I think it was benefiting him because it was preventing me from playing g4. But now I can get away with g4. So it's interesting. And I guess I was concerned about g4 because I don't know where I'm going to put my king if I ruin the pawn structure on the king side. But I guess castling queen side is always an option, I imagine. Anyway, I went with d5, which maybe it's too aggressive. So I think I don't know. I try to put pressure on my opponent. So maybe this is too trivial for someone of Glenn's caliber to go for this, but I don't know, I thought I was putting some pressure on his position, and I thought, why not? And I saw some cool variations. I thought that I could get away with this, and my rook is ready to go to d1 next in one move, and his queen side is still underdeveloped, so I thought, why not with d5? I guess in retrospect, though, the computer's saying I should build a position more, so d5, I guess, is inaccuracy, but nothing that I could, nothing that I think I should be too critical of my play. d5 is an okay move, I think. So Glenn played queen a5 check. Bishop c3, bishop takes c3, queen takes c3, queen takes c3, and then computer actually shows knight 4 takes c3. I looked at this, of course, but I assessed knight 2 takes c3 as significantly better, getting the bishop into the opening the diamond for the bishop. So I thought this was better. The computer's showing that it's not. So I played a slightly inferior move then. And then here, Glenn took a while to think, so we actually got a little bit of time advantage, which was nice. After I was down about 11 minutes out opening, I took a while to play knight e2. So here I thought I had a little bit of a pull, and I was happy with my position. And the more Glenn started thinking, then I made me even more happy with my position because I guess he hadn't really seen this. I guess he didn't realize that this line was pretty good for white, I guess. So here he castled. And then here I think I made, here I think I started playing, I played too slowly. I started to get excited because I had the advantage and I didn't, maybe I didn't like buckle down as much as I should have here. So I played a very boring move, I think, bland bishop e2, with the idea of just a castle, which I guess is okay, but it's nothing too spectacular. So Glenn took on d5 to open up a square for his knight on c6. Yeah, and then he played knight c6 to protect the e7 pawn, and now knight c7 isn't that great because the rook can just move away. So yeah, I missed a lot of stuff. I actually missed it. This knight c6 solved all of Black's problems, so I'm not sure what else to say. Just disappointing. So here I just castled, and then Glenn played king g7, which I think the idea was just to protect the f6 square because he wants to move this pawn at some point. So I played rook a d1, bishop takes e4, f takes e4, and then Glenn played e5, which surprised me, I must admit. So his idea is, I thought he would try to kick away my knight on d5, but his idea is more aggressive. He said, well, I'm just going to get the d4 square. So you have my d5 square, I'm going to have your d4 square, and let's go from there. And then I think his assessment of the position is pretty good because I think his knight is slightly better than my bishop. I think the only reason why computer gives me even a slight advantage is I think my rooks are slightly more active than his right now. And I think his pawn on h4 is a slight weakness. So I'd say our two knights, after the knight goes to d4, which is going to happen, the knights are very equal. I'd say that his knight on h6 is probably a little bit better than my bishop on e2. My rooks are slightly more active, and then his pawn's weak. But again, I have three pawn islands, and he only has two, so that's an advantage for Black. So it's, there's some imbalances. So I played knight f6 here. I thought one of his ideas might be to play f5, so I thought this was a good move to stop that in the meantime. So he played knight d4. And then I played bishop g4, which the computer doesn't seem to care for too much. I thought it was better than leaving on d2, but apparently that was wrong. So we played rook a to d8, and then I played h3. So it looks like these last two maneuvers have been slow and not too good. So rook d6, which I thought this was kind of I didn't like this move too much. Thought this was a little slow. Knight d5, knight takes g4, h takes g4. And here I think the position should be totally drawn. I know the computer showing a slight advantage for Black. I know my pawns are doubled, but I think this is totally drawish. I think the g4 and e4 pawns make the f5 push very unlikely anytime soon. So yeah, I was pretty happy with my position here. I thought I was fine. So Glenn played rook c8, and I played rook f2, which maybe is slight inaccuracy, but nothing too severe. Knight e6, rook f to d2, and then Glenn played rook c to d8, and then I marched my king over, king f2, king h6, and then yeah, here it's totally drawn. Here I made a very significant blunder though. Computer shows g3 as being the second best move, so playable, but I thought, personally I think g3 was just a very terrible move. It cost me a lot of momentum in the game. I thought it cost me a lot of confidence, and I guess there's been other instances where I kind of make these minor mistakes, and I think I kind of panic and give up a little bit. So I think I guess give up's not the right word, but I just get frustrated where I think my position is worse than it is, and I don't know, I think this is kind of a life lesson for me, not to give up so much when just because there's some adversity. But I do get very frustrated myself, I must admit. Like when I play a move like g3, and then I'm like, well, now I can get h3 and get a passed pawn, which I didn't need to allow. That does make me very upset, and I try to recover the best I can, which I think generally I do okay. I think round 6 against Todd is a good example of that. But if you set yourself problems against a good player, it's like stabbing yourself with a knife. It's it's just stupid. Why commit suicide when you can just live a nice life. So g3 is just that's a stupid move. I don't know what else to say. It's just an ugly move. Knight g5, king e3, and h3. And then here the computer, I can't believe the evaluation is as fine as it is. I guess I probably still have drawing chances, but honestly, I think in a position like this against Glenn, I think I'm going to lose this like 90% of the time because my pieces are going to get tied down, and I think Glenn is just very good at finding good squares and good ideas for his pieces. So, and just my style, I don't want my pieces to be tied down. So, from a stylistic viewpoint, this is a position I think Glenn will beat me like 90% of the time. I just hate my position because my rooks are going to have to get tied down to the h pawn. My king might have to get tied down too, and he'll figure out something. I'm not, b5 has happened in the games of plan, f5. Glenn will figure out something because he's very good at that, and this is exactly what I don't want against a player of his caliber. So I played rook e2, which is a severe blunder. The computer is showing. We both missed rook f6, so Glenn just played king back to g7. And so yeah, again, like I said, I think my character is, this is maybe maybe I have it too easy, and I'm not used to being like kind of on this side of the position where I'm the one kind of grinding. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of examples to the contrary, but just against Glenn or something in this position, I felt pretty hopeless already. Like the position was busted, even though that's not the case. So I think I started playing second rank moves. So I played King F2, which is another bad move, and then Glenn found a nice move B5, and then yeah, I kind of was panicking, so I played C5. Knight takes E4, which is a very nice move. Rook takes E4, rook takes D5, and then I played rook H1, trying to grab the H3 pawn. So Glenn allowed that. He played rook takes C5. I played rook takes H3, and then he played rook D2 check, and I resigned here. So a very nice game from Glenn after my blunder with G3. I mean, I am kind of pissed off at myself that I didn't put up more of a fight in this position, especially since the computer showing it so even. But I mean, the H pawn it looked a lot stronger to me than the computer showing it. I just thought King G7, Rook H8, and then just tie my pieces up and kind of go from there. But I guess I could have put up more resistance. But yeah, in retrospect, I really hate G3. Computer showing Rook H1, which I think is a very easy path to a draw, because the idea is after King G5, now G3 is very playable. And then if King takes here, I have Rook takes H4, G takes H4, and then all this looks perfectly fine, which I think I should be able to find this. I guess maybe an idea is I wonder if Knight F4 is playable here. Yeah, Rook H, so even this, Rook H7. So yeah, so I think after, and then if H takes G3, King takes G3, and this looks about as drawn can be too. And yeah, I always have this nice Rook H7 idea. And yeah, this just looks totally drawn. I don't see how either side can make any progress. If anything, the black king's a little exposed right here. He's actually in zugzwang in this position. But after the knights come off, which black could initiate if they want, the F6 square becomes available. And then I don't really have any way of checking the king anyway. So, and I guess I don't have any ideas of. I don't have any ideas like this because this gives the knight's protecting the H5 square anyway, but this also gives a luff to the king on he can go to G6. So I don't have any mating ideas. So yeah, I think if and like I said at the beginning of the video, I think I was like extremely close to the draw. So it's frustrating when you get this close to basically I was almost at the point where there's nothing that either side can really do. And I shouldn't. I'm not gonna be too happy drawing Glenn as white, but I'll be modestly satisfied. I mean, ratings wise, probability I'm not supposed to. Most of the time, Glenn's gonna win. So yeah, if I would have got a draw, I would have been okay, especially with the way the game went. I thought it was a pretty level fight. But yeah, so when we get basically pretty close to I'm in the drawing zone where I'm gonna draw a significant percent of the time, I messed up. Also, I think like even a move like King E3 is probably very playable here. So I think this is okay. And I don't see why I couldn't even retreat here. Okay, or Knight D4. Okay, never mind. Knight D4 blocks the D file. But I don't know. Maybe King E3 is a mistake. So maybe Rook H1 is the most active way to play for the draw. So yeah. So in this position, if I just would play Rook H1, Glenn's he's not gonna settle for a draw easily, of course. So he's gonna keep trying to find maneuvers. But I think after Rook H1, I should be okay. And then the idea is if like Rook H1 and like say he tries to retreat to get the Rook to H8 to protect the pawn, then or never mind, I'm threatening the pawn. Say a move like G5, okay. G5 would lose to G3, I believe. And then this is very good for white. So Rook H1 also makes Glenn have to play very precisely because the best move in the position, Knight C5, I'm not sure if he's really even thinking about this move. So I would have played King E3, King here, and then I think Rook H3 is okay, or I don't know. This might have been tough. So we might get a position like this where this might have been tricky to handle this properly. So I guess Rook F1 looks natural in there. Rook D7. and now computerized g3 again. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know if I would have found this. I think I probably would have played this movement. I don't know why this is not that great. Rook a6. Yeah, this does look like it ties my position down a little bit. So yeah, it looks like it's tougher than I thought. Maybe there's more playing position than I thought there was. Oh no, king f3. Yeah, it looks like a reasonable idea. Yeah, if I can play king f3, yeah, I think this is, I should be able to draw this then. Okay, 6. I don't know, it looks like all these lines though, Glenn's the only one with any reasonable chances to win, but I don't see why g3 is not playable here. Yeah, I don't know, it looks, yeah, it does look very tricky. It looks like Glenn has all the ability to play for an advantage here. This is a nifty little trick right here. So I don't know, yeah, maybe it's tougher than I think, so I have to be very precise even in this position. So where it is, so king g5, rook f1. Yeah, this was like tough. That looked like a tough move to find that g3. That doesn't look very easy. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I would have gone this on time pressure. It looks like these moves are not that easy to find. Yeah, I really don't know. So I don't know. It looks like there's a lot of play in this endgame. So I guess I guess I'm even underestimating that it was so close to a draw. So I guess there's a lot more to play for. But anyway, I'll be sure to study this position. I'm not sure. I don't know. Glenn's just a very good player. I'm not. I have a lot to learn from him and a lot of improvement to make in my own game. But I was frustrating that from a position like this, I couldn't. I mean, G3 looks like such a good move to play. Yeah, I got to do something more active than what I play. I think Castle's just too generic of a move. So I guess that's an area of my improvement. Like I think on the one hand, just I'm very good at playing classically, getting my piece on active squares, but I need to, you know, I need to know when there's a time to do something like a little out of the ordinary to address the actual concerns of the position. So a move like rook a to d1, I think this is a move that I find, you know, very high percentage of the time. We're in a position like this where the, you know, I mean, this is a very classical move. Getting the rook on the open file, this is a move I'm going to find most of the time. But finding a move like g3 here, this is a move that I need to be able to find more often than I do. And I think if I do that, then my chess will go to even another level. So I think I'm on the verge. So I hope I'm not coming across too negative. But you know, after you lose, of course, you always kind of get, you know, you always think the world's ending. I guess I guess like I was saying, you know, just not worrying about adversity and just, you know, keep your head up and you know, I'll bounce back from this, of course. But yeah, I mean, just finding a move like g3, very creative moves, interesting. And then even like knight e to c3, keeping the pressure in the position is a move that I don't play very often. I mean, knight e to c3 is an interesting idea. You know, protecting the knight, and then this bishop on f5 isn't too active right now. It's hard to see how it even could get active later on in the game. So anyway, though, this is Ryan Phillips signing off. Hope you enjoyed the video. Glenn told me at the end of the game that he didn't want to lose to me, especially because he knows the video is go on YouTube. So he's like, yeah, it motivates. You know, he basically, I don't remember the exact phrase he used, but the impression I got is like, yeah, it motivates me. I can't, I can't put up a losing effort and have the game go on YouTube and be there forever. But I guess I think it's even worse for me though. I have to, you know, put my own losses up there, and that's the other way I'll do the videos. Like I'm only gonna do the videos if I do all the games, or you know, if I don't do every single game, it won't be because of I lose or not. I'm not gonna, it's not right to me, in my opinion, to just